Well, do we do on the call? You get on the call, don't you?
I
This
did
is a
make it on the call.
but I'm saying you don't get mod talk for your interview. You get on the call. Hello, everyone. We are here with our guest for the evening, who is our my normal co-host Daisy, who has stepped up to be guest in on short notice. We just played a choose your own adventure game called Petra and the Thylacine, and I've got some more questions about uh I don't know. Daisy, your work, other stuff that I don't
Yeah.
know. The chat might not know. We got a whole dossier ahead of us here. Thank you very much to our wonderful interview team, aka the Folkwise interview sleuths, for putting together yet another great packet for me to read off.
Yeah.
They're the wind beneath my wings.
They're
So
very helpful for
let me
every
get
stream that we do.
they're very good. Every time you see the guest laugh at a question, thank the interview sleuths, our team of
Yeah.
three folklorists who put together the questions. All right, Daisy, you ready to get into this interview?
Yeah, and I wanna add to that too. Like, I have so much to say at our group meeting about being on the other side of this that I've been like double thinking about like the meta what we ask the guests to do on our show and what the experience of being a guest on the show is like.
Yeah,
This is so interesting. I'm trying not to like I'm like trying to predict
that
what you're gonna ask,
oh,
but also play the game, but not over like info dump on the game.
I get
Just
it.
those kind of questions. It's so interesting. So this
So
is good.
let's get off first and foremost. What is the Anthropocene, and how does it influence your scholarly work?
Ooh, this is a good question. So the Anthropocene is a term that a lot of anthropologists, but also like environmental studies people, many people, you've probably heard this word before, have coined like basically the age in which humans have directly contributed to influencing climate change or like basically technology era of human existence on our planet, which is very short in the geological time scale. There's like if you know anything about like earth history, there's lots of names for different eras. The Anthropocene is an era that we've used to sort of like talk about the human influence on the planet. So this matters to my work because I study extinction and particularly narratives around threatened and endangered species and how people conceptualize and think about their relationships with those animals as either multi-species relationships, um, or environment, like whatever their relationship to the environment is,
Mhm.
which is cohabited by lots of different species. And since climate change is a huge problem right now, probably the biggest problem of our time, there's a lot of changes that are happening very quickly. And in terms of like thinking about our relationships historically with different species as well as now. So that is how I use this sort of like literature of Anthropocene to theorize and think about how that pertains to this like specific piece of human influence on the planet that I'm talking about.
Um, can you talk a little bit about your work with lichen and how that applies to this? I know we talked about lichen a little bit
Yeah.
on the Breath of the Wild stream, but are you able to tie that into the definition you just set there?
Yeah, I think so. Lycan is sort of a larger organization, but Lycan stands for Livelihoods Knowledge Exchange Network, and I am employed by them as a person who does film editing primarily for different projects that they help produce and write grants for. But Lycan as an organization is seeking to create a knowledge commons about the environment, so to bring as many different resources from people across sectors who are working on environmental justice or like um I guess like local communities in Appalachia who are working to protect or to preserve their environment together in a conversation with larger organizations such as like the USDA, um or other like farming or agriculture organizations that can fund our work basically,
Hmm.
to kind of bring the knowledge down to people, try to organize ways in which we can have conversations across different spaces and time, um And my role is like a person who helps create videos for them that are created along like with local knowledge as just sort of testimonial videos, but also um, like educational videos step by step actually teaching people how to do certain things with their land. So I'm working on an agroforestry project where we have people talk about how they manage their own land and benefit from it, but also like and also their connection and relationship to the land and how they came to practice and work on agroforestry, which
Yeah.
is just like an agricultural system that functions within the various layers of the forest rather than like clear cutting and doing
Hmm.
growing soybeans or something. You might harvest black walnuts, and then at a different time of the year you might harvest other herbs, or sort of have more rotational crop patterns
Hmm.
that you could benefit from. But the reason that lichen connects to anthropocene stuff is that it's trying to find ways to help our environment through more sustainable and relationship centered and collaborative methods rather than something that's extractive.
Yeah.
So Appalachia has been plagued by extractive industries, industries that go in just like coal, for example, or clear cutting, mountaintop removal, logging, industries that go in and take away and send somewhere else. Um, all of the model of lichen as an organization is very like collaborative, and it's almost like a model of fungus. I like to use fungus as a metaphor, one that
Okay.
like latches on and grows in different directions with each other and kind of like has this relationship of renewal and sharing and collaboration with the different species around it, like the people, the communities, the relationships. Um, and so it's sort of like experimenting with this different model of knowledge sharing that is going to help us preserve the environment in a way that is sustainable long term.
Yeah. It
There's lots
kind
of other stuff there too, but to tie it into Anthropocene, that's where I
well,
sit
the
with it
word I
right
keep
now.
hearing you say is relationship, and I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah.
that came up in both.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. It's all about this kind of like how are we building relationships with each other that actually
Hmm.
are like give more attention and favor to the relationship as a process and as this like extended piece of our lives rather than like something that's here and done or contractual. I don't know, lots of other different forms of relationships. So
Hmm.
it's cool. I'm like the small piece in the large puzzle of what they're doing also. Like
Or
there are
the
many
large
people.
fungal network.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah.
Um, Pivoting a little, how did you get into studying extinct animals?
That's another question. I'm not sure I have like well, I okay.
Well,
So
if you can't answer that, what drew you to the thylacine of all of them?
that's fair. So when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a paleontologist,
Okay.
and I feel like I ended up that way in a backwards way. I'm not a paleontologist. I don't study fossils, but I always ended up coming back
Yeah.
to creatures of the past, maybe is a way to think about it. I mean, also the present too. I love all animals, but
Sure.
yes, and even the bugs. For those who are gonna say, but do you really like animals? Yes, I do. um, I think like so I kind of ended up thinking about how it makes me ask questions about how people understand the past. Um,
Mm.
and how people like relate to and storytell and create a past, I guess, for each other and how what that means for the way that we interact with our environment.
Hmm.
So the thylacine is funny because like when I was a little kid, I knew like I was the kid at the zoo that would correct adults about what animals they were looking at
Of
and stuff.
course.
Um and my dad was like, "I bet you don't know I bet I know an animal that you don't know." And I was like, "Yeah, right, dad. Hello. I read all the animal books." And then he showed me a thylacine and I didn't know
Whoa,
about it
really?
because
That's your
yeah, because
origin
in
story?
yeah,
That's
literally,
incredible.
I didn't know, and my dad totally
Holy
he got
crap.
me. I didn't know. And I think I don't remember why he knew. I have no idea why he knew about this,
Wow. What I can't
but
wait till your parents are on stream talking about
oh
thylacines
my god.
and Limp Bizkit.
Oh my god, what a combo. Um, what a combo. But he knew what it was. I must have been in like a news article or something because this is like the early 2000s.
Mhm.
And yeah, and so I didn't know what it was, and I think at that point, like when I was a kid, my idea of extinction was dinosaurs, which is
Yeah.
so far in the past, that's so far removed, like you don't even it's almost unrelatable, right? Where something like a thylacine that was hunted to extinction, I was like, "Wait, we can do that?"
Yeah.
Like people can do that? I think my brain had like a brain blast and I was like, "Wait, people influence the planet? Like what?"
Mm.
And so then I kind of put that to the side, got interested in a lot of other things too. But they're always centered around like how we make community and relate to each other because I think I was always confused or like had trouble understanding why people did the thing, which is why I became a folklorist. Why do we do the thing that we do every day?
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
which is why I like folklore because it tries to help us understand why we do the thing that we do every day. Um, and so I guess like in my master's program, I just was talking about it because they're kind of it's always been like kind of a cool animal and interesting to
Mhm.
me that this kind of like play between alive and dead or real today because there's this narrative of its persistence past extinction
Yeah.
and it just seemed like something that was specific enough that I could write a master's thesis about, and so I just got really into it, and then I
There
wrote
it
too much,
is.
so yeah, and now I'm the thylacine person.
Next question, kind of on the topic of thylacines. For the uninitiated, what's like your one sentence explanation of a furry? And what is the significance of making your fursona a thylacine?
Oh man, that's a good way to ask that question. The one sentence explanation of a furry. There are probably better people to answer this than me, but let me think. A furry is a fan, or I should say, furries are part of a fan community that is centered around dressing up as an animal that is emblematic of their personality in
Okay.
some way.
Okay.
So that's like my one sentence way. So usually there's some kind of imposed idea onto an animal of like what personality traits, human like personality traits the animal might possess.
Sure.
Um, and or somehow their maybe the experience of that animal, something that people learn about it is emblematic of the person that they are, that they represent as themselves. So thylacines to me are interesting because so first of all, a lot of furries are canids. They're like dogs or they're wolves or foxes.
Is that
Um,
because it's so easy to map human like features onto them, like you were saying?
I I think that that's true.
Okay.
Yeah, it's easy to map kind of like human relationship. We have established relationships with canids.
Yeah.
They're very important culturally, like pretty much across the world. They're apex predators, big predators. Like there's a lot that we can relate to with them.
Hmm.
Um, so, but a thylacine is interesting because it's looks like a canid, but isn't. It's a marsupial, and so, like,
Mm.
taxonomically, like, on the if you go back on, like, the evolution train, they separate way, 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 like, back in history in terms of, like, their evolutionary trajectory. So they're not even close to related. They're not even cousins. They're, like, generations removed. Um and but they look a lot like wolves, and it's a really good example of what biologists call convergent evolution. If you've
Yeah.
ever heard this,
Yes.
they occupy it's when animals take a similar feature of other animals because they occupy a similar like ecological niche.
Niche. Yeah.
Um, and so yeah, so they're the at the time they were one of the largest predators in Australia,
Hmm.
basically. So they occupy a similar niche. And so thylacines are cool because they're like canids and you can map onto them, but they're not. So that's one thing. So you can kind of be like different, you know, by marking yourself as a thylacine furry as opposed to a wolf, which
Hmm.
or a fox. Everybody's a fox. That's
Everyone's a
the truth.
fox. Yeah.
Everybody's a fox.
Thank you. Thank you, Disney's Robin Hood.
Yeah, thank you, Disney's Robin Hood. Everybody's a fox if you're furry. No, that that's not true because sometimes people are thylacines. And the other really important thing about thylacines is that because they were an animal that existed and then went extinct due to overhunting, there's been this like narrative of their persistence past extinction. Like, did we really kill them all? Oh,
Mhm.
actually, my cousin saw one. My grandpa saw one.
Grandma
Their
Bessie saw one at Cataract
grandma
Gorge.
Exactly, and there's not actually extinct. And so there's this interesting play between like perseverance and past persecution, I should say, or persistence past that. And so I think a lot of people latch onto this idea that the thylacine is emblematic of like persisting through struggle. And
Mm.
so
Mm.
there's a way that you can like latch that onto personality representations with thylacines. So you experience hardship, but you lived through it is like a very um common narrative I hear people who describe their interest or relationship to the thylacine with. There's also, because the most popular image of the thylacine was the last captured thylacine that I think the photo was from the Beaumaris Zoo, the Hobart Zoo in
Uh-huh.
Tasmania. That thylacine Benjamin, it has gotten kind of its own like pop culture figure. It's an example of what some social or some biologists call an endling, which
Yes.
is like the last known singular animal individual of a species.
Mhm.
Not every species that goes extinct gets an endling, but
Sure.
when they do, there's like all of this lore and like fixation around what it means to this being the last of their kind. Um, and there's also, you can again take the wolf metaphor and you see maybe I'm going in the direction of kind of a lone wolf, like I stand away from the crowd. So there's some of this kind of imagery that's encased in being a thylacine furry of like, I'm different, I stand alone, I, persevered through hardship. There's sort of those kind of questions that come into play. So I think they're very interesting.
Yeah. Are you reading chat for a second?
Yeah, I just saw
There's some
Pascal
cool stuff
got
going on in
rants.
chat. Which we
I was
will
like, people
we
talk
will get
about
to some of
ramps.
these later. We will get to some of these later.
Yeah,
Yeah, Lynette Cosplay, thank you so much for staying up with us. Uh
yeah,
I
yeah.
will
Thank
get to
you.
some of your chat questions in a bit.
Ooh,
Daisy, don't spoil
can I
yourself. What?
can I
Were you
address
gonna answer
Luomi's?
Lynette's about Luomi's?
Yeah, about the contestation of authority and knowledge,
Go for it.
versus traditional ecological knowledge. Yeah, there's there's so many layers to that with thylacines too, because there's like one layer of people who believe the thylacine still exists that are the descendants of colonizers,
Mhm.
and they, a lot of times this group will like be anti-government because the government doesn't believe that thylacines still exist, and they want to
Mm.
say
Wow.
stop logging, or they want more environmental protections. um, but it gets wrapped up in this kind of like anti-government narrative or conspiracies that the government is like acting harm unto the landscape of Tasmania, um, which it maybe is true or not true, but the narrative around the thylacine about that is really interesting. How it becomes this sort of like representation for anti-government kind of environmental control, I
Wow.
guess. But then there's also this like totally, I don't want to say totally different, but like this other vein that I haven't explored as much, but would like to, especially if I go to Tasmania, of Aboriginal belief about
Mhm.
the thylacine. And there are people, like I've seen some documentaries by Tasmanians about Tasmanian tigers who have worked with Aboriginal peoples to try to track down where thylacines are, because they believe also that they still are present today. But that's only in the very few cases that I've learned, and that's that kind of, like, play between the traditional ecological knowledge that Uomi was bringing up and the, like, colonizers who still believe that the thylacine exists, but then there's also this other group of people who are, like, very, very adamant that they just don't exist, and,
Wow.
again, like, the whether or not the thylacine exists is not the interesting question to me as much as all of these different relationships of rhetoric that happen around threatened and endangered species.
Yeah.
It's so
No,
fascinating
I
to
think
me. But yeah,
that's the
there's
folklorist thing in general, right? It's not like the
yeah,
proving whether it's a thing or not
yeah,
is less important
mhm,
than listening to
yeah.
how people talk about it.
Yeah, and exactly what Luomi mentioned, this like contestation over like who gets to have the authority to say the thylacine is gone. and what
Mhm.
that means for something like traditional ecological knowledge or these sort of tension in relationships between who has power over like managing land
Yeah.
is very interesting.
Wow. That is really fascinating. You deserve all
Yeah.
the hearts you're getting in chat.
Aw, shucks. Shucks,
Uh,
guys. I'm trying real hard.
hey, next question. Whenever you talk about it, I just picture Charmander, but what is a Hellbender salamander?
Okay, Charmander is really good. I'm surprised there's not more Charmander memes. Hellbender Salamander. So my dissertation research, moving on from like my master's program, which was like a lot about thylacines, and I still write about thylacines today too, but
Mhm.
I'm transitioning into like thinking about how this applies to my context and the United States, particularly in a master's degree program at, or excuse me, a PhD program at Ohio State University, which is
Excuse me,
situated
where?
at the Ohio State
There you
University.
go.
Sorry, I missed the there, which I believe it might be copyrighted. Like, I think that they actually tried to trademark
Yeah.
the I don't think you can trademark articles. I am upset about it, but whatever. Um, yeah, so at the Ohio State University in my PhD program, I'm expanding on these kinds of questions about um, authority and knowledge about the environment as it pertains to threatened and endangered species. So in Appalachia and near us, all the way into Indiana, there's actually a big population of hellbender salamanders. Um, that has been basically the subject of my research at this moment,
Mhm.
exploring these kind of questions of policymaking around these hellbender salamanders. But to answer your actual question, which is what the heck is a hellbender salamander? Um, it's the largest salamander in North America. They're like like a foot and a half long. They're big. Like you can look them up. They're also called snot otters. Um, some
Now
people
that
call
actually
them
rings a bell. That actually rings a bell.
yeah, snot
I
otter.
feel like
Yeah.
people of Indiana have talked about that.
Yeah, I mean, because it's such a very funny, charismatic name, right?
Mhm.
This is another layer of rhetoric. Like, what kind of names do we give to things? Like thylacine versus Tasmanian tiger. Those are used basically interchangeably. But something like a hellbender salamander, I think the technical name is the eastern hellbender salamander.
Okay.
But they're big, they're slimy, they're brown, they look like a pile of snot, basically, and they're in the river, and they're going
Right.
extinct because of a lot of reasons.
Mhm.
One of them is mountaintop removal and silt buildup in rivers. The
Yeah.
important thing about hellbender salamanders is that, and kind of all amphibians, is that they're an indicator of water quality because their skin is so porous and sensitive.
Mm.
The unlike other animals like fish, which have scales, a hard skin, right? So they're less likely to be impacted, or to maybe the better way to say it is amphibians are the first to go. So
Yes.
I don't know if anybody's like read about the amphibian extinction crisis that's happening too. This kind of fits in with that.
Can I admit
Only
that
I'm
I haven't read about it, but
pretty sure.
I watched Tearzu's video about the Anthropocene patch list, and it looks like amphibians got nerfed to the point where they're no longer relevant in the outside meta.
Yep. Yeah, amphibians are
Cephalopods
going through a
though, buffed.
real yeah, amphibians are going through a real rough patch right now. So
Mhm.
there's a lot of efforts specifically around protecting and preserving habitats of these animals, but also focused on individual species. So this is what's really interesting to me. Like, why would you focus on a specific animal when really the problem is the whole ecological matrix,
That
right?
is
Like the
interesting.
whole like, why do we get fixated on the eastern hellbender salamander when really we need to be focused on like the water quality and mountaintop removal, which would help everybody in the area? All species, all relationships would be benefited by stopping that or reducing it, controlling that kind of thing. So I'm interested in question. So my research so far about eastern hellbender salamanders in Ohio is that individuals and communities, and I've talked to a couple wildlife biologists at OSU about this, and I've talked to some people who have through their relationship with these biologists granted conservation easements on their own properties where they found hellbenders, like hellbender habitats were on their property,
Mhm.
and so they were like granted protection. But really what the thing that was convincing to them beyond just like the hellbender salamander being cool or this sort of like cosmology about protecting the environment or that kind of thing was rather that the conservation easement meant that the coal company couldn't try to buy their land.
Mm.
So there's this conversation that's like using the individual species as a rhetorical tool to sort of like speak the same language as policymakers or as other people in like um extractive industries, or to give like a quantifiable number to say, don't come on this land, I found 5 hellbenders, this is a protected land, like now I have the power to keep you away, rather than just saying like extreme health is a problem with what you're doing. That's like a really vague way to say it, but even if it's more accurate, what gets recorded is these like numerical values of numbers of animals and stuff.
Hmm.
I don't know. I think it's so interesting. It's like, do people really care about the animal or the relationship they're building or the environment, or is it this kind of other longer war that's been happening between the environment and extractive industries?
Interesting.
Yeah.
Sounds like a hell of a
Like,
paper.
it hopefully will be. I don't know. This is again just the beginning stages of the research, but we'll see where it goes. But I am so fascinated by how people position themselves in relationship to the animals that they share land with.
Um, what do we say? All these idealized notions of healthy environments are rooted in culturally specific belief. Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Wow. This is fascinating. You do fascinating stuff, Daisy.
I like it. It's fun. I There's so many layers to this too. Like yeah, I could talk for a long time about what this means, and I hope that I get to. And that's why I'm doing a PhD.
Hey.
Yeah.
Um,
Somebody put my research.
Daisy, can I read you your second tweet you ever posted on twitter.com?
Oh no.
I
I
think
don't
you're at the
know.
point of your scholarly career where you'd be able to answer this. Are you ready?
Oh no. Sure.
All right. Second tweet you ever posted on twitter.com reads, "What's up with these Tide Pods and their tastiness? Hashtag folk 4700."
That's hilarious. Okay,
So what
I
is up with these Tide Pods and their tastiness?
wow. Wait, this is so funny. I want the date for that because whatever the date is on that tweet, because that probably was like the tweet or the day or the class that inspired the Tide Pod tripod, which is me and two other graduate students at Utah State University, Michelle Jones and Camille Slight, got together based on a material culture class, Folk 4770 or whatever it was.
4700.
Uh, yeah, 4700. We were talking about material culture, and Tide Pods happened, and we
Mm-hmm.
were like, somebody should write a paper about Tide Pods. And then we did, and it's published and you can read it. We wrote a paper about the forbidden fruit. So that's funny that that was my second tweet ever, because I also probably I think made the Twitter for that class.
It looks like you did.
Yeah, I think I was
So
required.
are Tide Pods tasty?
No, do not eat them.
Okay.
Do not eat Tide Pods.
The forbidden
Not
fruit.
not tasty snack. Tasty for brain, tasty for satisfy brain waves, not tasty for eating.
Thank you.
Um,
Thank you
yeah,
for
please don't eat them.
translating that into the internet for me.
Yeah, there are also the paper that we co-authored together was about intergenerational conflict online more broadly, and
Yeah, speak
how
a
like
little about that
Tide.
because that's what Tide Pods.
Yeah,
I guess
so
because I've read that, it has to be. That's
yeah,
what Tide Pods scan as to me.
yeah, right. And so we in this paper, so it's funny, haha, we were like, "Oh, forbidden fruit, this is dumb." But
Hmm.
when you really look at a lot of the tweets or the exchanges, that conversations that are had not only between the individuals who are joking about eating Tide Pods, the ones who actually tasted and ate Tide Pods, the adults that were worried about their kids eating Tide Pods, and then like advertising companies,
Yeah,
all of these different layers had a different relationship to the Tide Pod saga, I guess. The legend of people eating Tide Pods,
yeah.
which didn't really happen. Um,
Not the way like the media reported on it.
yeah, not the way the media reported on it. Some people did in fact lick or taste Tide
Bite.
Pods,
Yeah.
but that was based on the pre-existing meme of the forbidden fruit, like, isn't it funny these look really tasty? And then somebody saw that and went, that's funny. What if I did it as a meme? So they like compounded on what we call I think we call it meme tripping in our paper, where like
Oh, that's a
instead
good
of like
one.
Yeah, we call it meme tripping instead of legend tripping. So legend tripping we've talked about a little bit on the show before, but basically it's like when you go to replicate a legend for yourself for the point of experiencing that legend, and then
Uh-huh.
you get to tell your own personalized version of that story. So you may go to a haunted spot with your friends in the woods to see if it's actually haunted. People do that with memes
Yeah. With Tide
sometimes.
Pods. Ah, that's an
Yeah, like with
excellent
Tide
point.
Pods. Yeah, so they do that with Tide Pods. So we call it meme tripping. There's probably other or more creative names we could have come up with, but we're trying
It's a good
specifically
one.
to
It's a
reference
very no, it's a
legend
very good
tripping.
reference. It's a very good
Yeah.
reference. Uh,
And so the idea being that the joke existed before it actually happened, and then it happened, and then people freaked out because they were like, "Oh, wait, you're actually doing this." And so what we were looking at was this relationship between the perspectives of Gen Z based on the perception of their eating Tide Pods. It was cool.
cool. Pies Kills Kings asks if you heard about the people who give out Tide Pods to trick-or-treaters on Halloween.
You know, I haven't heard about that, but I'm gonna tell you my legend ears are ringing. The other day I was in a Discord call with a group and somebody told me about a cow they brought up to the second floor as like a senior prank, and
Yep.
I was like, "Did that happen?"
Heard this
Like
one.
I didn't want to like it's hard because
But it's
I'm like
important to figure
I
out
don't want to
why
say
you're
that
telling that story. Yeah.
I kind of want to be like, did that really happen? Like, you did that? Really? Because my legend ears were all over that.
You ready to move into some fun questions?
Yeah,
Okay,
let's do
if
it.
you could do an ethnography on your experiences as a former debutante, how would you structure it?
Oh no. Oh no. Well, I wouldn't. Okay, first of all, I'm going to preface it by saying I have so much bias against debutante
Okay.
culture that it would be hard for me to do justice to the organization. Thinking about, like, reflexive ethnography, like,
Hmm.
I'd have to really be specific and careful about, like, how I'm talking about it because my gut reaction to that question is, "Yikes." Um, but I guess so the question is like, what would it look like to do an ethnography of debutantes?
Yeah, in your experience, yeah.
In my experience? So, there's a bunch of different layers
Say
with
you're
debutantes.
say you're a time traveler.
Say I'm a time traveler, I'm going back in time
Yeah.
to when I was a debutante,
Yeah.
which happened I was a Las Patronas debutante, I think in 2013. And this was in Ventura County. Debutantes exist all over the United States. I from what I gathered from being a debutante without at that time I was in high school, I wasn't Googling it because I didn't care about it and didn't want to be it.
Sure.
So, but in hindsight, I probably would have like now today I would have Googled it and like learned a little bit more about the history.
Hmm.
But to me, it was like such a weird you have to interview the moms, the
Oh yeah. Oh
grandmas,
yeah.
and the debutantes. You cannot
Intergenerational. Yeah.
yeah, you cannot only interview the debutantes, you will not get the full picture. You have to
Interesting.
do the grandmas, the moms, the aunts, whatever, the older women around who are helping the newer debutantes through this
Wow.
process. It's also all focused I would say like at first I was kind of like, this is like a weird like rich person thing that happens," and I still think that that's kind of true, but there is a whole layer of like volunteering
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
pieced into it as well. So, like, to be a debutante, there are requirements, and the requirements are all about how much service you've given to others. And usually, you do that, at least in the case of Las Patronas, you work at an established organization that they have. So, like, they had an after school program for girls, not
Interesting.
unlike Boys and Girls Club,
Yeah.
something of that degree, where you would go and be like the mentor for younger women
Hmm.
and girls or something like that. Or you would volunteer at like they had a thrift store that they ran, and all of that money went back into different charities that other people were organizing that I didn't really understand. But things of that nature. I'm not really sure about like the ethics of all that, like what kind of charity, whatever. All
Yeah.
I knew was that my grandma was a debutante, my aunt was a debutante, and I was gonna have to be a debutante.
Wow, interesting. That's so
Yeah,
fascinating. The generational
yeah.
aspect on the last two things we've talked about, just
Oh,
coincidentally.
Yeah, coincidentally, yeah, and I was very upset about it. I was
Oh,
I did not wanna do it. I probably put my parents and my family through a lot of grief, but I ended up doing it because they, like, needed me to. I don't know, my mom was using a lot of rhetoric of, like, this is really important for the family. I
Yeah,
was like, I
sure.
is it? Like, I guess. I don't know. It was very weird. But they none of I felt totally out of place. I didn't actually volunteer with them at all. It was really weird. I did my own volunteering with separate organizations, but I never did anything directly with the Las Patronas like place who made me a debutante. And then I also I didn't know any of the girls who were also
Oh.
part of this, and they all I was the only one who went to public school. Like, that was also yeah, I was, like, already an
Wow!
outcast. Yeah, I was the only one who went to public school.
This
I
is an arc
had
on Degrassi.
oh my god,
Who
like,
would this happen to? Liberty? I'm thinking
I
Liberty.
probably, yeah. Oh, it was so weird. I could go into way too much detail about this, but if I was doing an ethnography, you have to do the intergenerational thing.
Yeah,
You have to figure out the volunteering aspect too, is I do think that's really important. And
yeah.
then, of course, you would have to attend as participant observation, hanging out with
Hell
the
yeah.
community. You attend the ball at the end of the year.
Yeah.
And so this is like a whole year where you plan a bunch of activities together. You bond um, around shared values that they're imposing on us. I did not share a lot of values with these people. And it was very uncomfortable and I felt like an outcast the whole time. But you end up at a ball in which what I described to people colloquially as being sold at auction, which was a very rude way to describe it probably. But I like my dad like and I danced
Mhm.
and then I was given over to do a dance with my guest, my invited partner to the dance, who what was my escort. He was my
Mm.
escort. That's what we call it. We were not my escort. His name is Patrick. I love him so much. We were not dating or anything at the time. I was just like, "You're good with old people, so can you be this?"
Yes.
That was like, I was like,
No,
"You
top
like
tier
to talk to
pick.
old
Top tier
people."
pick.
Yeah, I was like, "You like to talk to old people. I think you'd be really good here." um, and so that was super fun, and we had that was cool, but, like, it definitely was this weird like, I remember the person who read the speech at the beginning before our dance was like, "And now we have women in the military." It was 2013!
Oh
I was like,
boy.
"Who has written this?" Like,
Oh boy.
what? Is this supposed to be this celebration of, like, me being able to have a job? It was so weird. I did not understand it.
Wow.
But yeah, so you have to attend the events, intergenerational conversations, volunteering is important. Try not to be as sassy as I'm being about it.
Excellent
That
answer.
would be the bad ethnographer job. Don't be that sassy. But yeah,
Transitioning
it was
from
weird.
dressing up like a beautiful princess to dressing up like a
Oh,
hideous boy
by
king.
by the way, I you do buy a wedding dress. I did wear a modified wedding dress. That was the other
That
weird
sounds
thing.
right.
Sounds right. It was another weird thing. Anyway.
Well, should I do the transition again?
Yeah, dude,
Okay,
I'm sorry.
transitioning from dressing up like a beautiful princess to dressing up like a hideous boy king. 250,000 people know you as Joffrey in Westeros, an American musical. But what was your first cosplay?
Oh my god. I can't believe that has a quarter of a million views.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. um Shoot, everybody knows me as canon Joffrey now. What was my first cosplay? My first cosplay ever was Osha the Wildling. I
Oh, okay.
think. I think that was my first like official cosplay. I mean,
Oh,
dress up
yeah.
and do
It's different.
costumes and stuff, but
Oh,
it's
yeah.
different.
It's
It was definitely my first con. So, but yeah, I
oh,
played Osha the Wildling, who's really cool and is the caretaker of Bran and Rickon when they leave the wall. And yeah, I just
and
thought Osha was super badass and it was a doable
and
costume.
OSHA cares a lot about relationships to nature.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
true. Like
He
I did. Do you want me to tell the story about the big stick I had?
Yes, tell the story about the giant stick.
So this is the first con I ever went to, and it was Ice and Fire Con, which Dom also volunteers at.
Oh,
It was
hold
in
on. Can I
Virginia.
ask a question real quick from Bubbly
Oh
Like
yeah,
Soda?
yeah,
Were you cosplaying a
yeah.
bride as a debutante? Is that bride cosplay?
Fuck yes, it is bride cosplay. Oh my god, that's what I was doing. That's what I was doing. It was bride cosplay for money, for charity. They were paying me to do it.
Wow.
So, but I didn't see any of the money. Charity saw the money. But
So tell the
whoa.
story of the second cosplay you ever did, Osha the Wildling.
Good point. Yeah, so I'd never been to Ice and Fire Con before. It was in Virginia. I had to take a plane to get there. And I a person who was attending the con, Becca, shout out to Becca, love you,
Becca!
picked me up from the airport because I was, like, coordinating rides and I hadn't been there, and I had just gotten back from, like, an extended travel, in South America, and I had my costume together, but I knew that Ocean needed a spear, and you can't take spears on airplanes, so
Nope.
I was like, "Well, I'll just put a big stick when I'm there." And I had made, like a spearhead out of duct tape, like, metallic duct tape before, the shiny one. And I brought that with me and I was like, "I'll find a big stick." And then Becca picked me up in the car and we just went to the con, and on the way I found, I don't know, like a 10-foot stick. It was
It was
really
very
big.
big.
It might not have been 10 feet, but
No,
it
I
was
think
like
it was
at
10
least
feet.
it was like a 10, between an 8 and 10-foot stick I found, and I put
It
the
was
spearhead
taller
on
than
it,
a
and that was
basketball
my
player. Yeah.
yeah, it was very tall. And so that was my spear, and it was great.
Um, Next question. Imagine this is are you too young to have ever watched VH1 Behind the Music?
I saw VH1, and I don't think ever saw Behind the Music, but I did remember seeing like sometimes they would do the playlist like 100 one hit wonders or
Okay,
whatever,
okay.
or like so I was probably around that time, but
So imagine
it's not like
imagine this
in
is
my
the
brain.
last 5 minutes of a music documentary.
Okay.
Um, where are the other members of Andre and the Giants right now?
I don't know what that is.
Wait, Andre and the Giants isn't the band you were in high school?
Nope. I
Mm.
wish. That's okay. I I'm trying to think.
Were you in a band in high school? Did you
No.
get
I did. Okay.
did you
Okay.
get did you get misattributed as a member of this band in the Ventura high school newspaper when you were at the air
Oh
guitar
my god.
tournament? Because they said you were a member of this band. Do you remember the air guitar
That's so
tournament?
funny. Okay, okay, yes. I
Okay.
see what happened. This is what happened. Wait, was I what am I forgetting? So I This is very funny because I was okay, so my high school had this thing called air guitar, which was basically the like super cool version of a talent show in
Okay.
which there was like an MC that was usually one of the instructors who also dressed up like in cosplay or some kind of costume. And they would do like fun skits in between all the acts. I did perform at this once or twice, and I had a friend named Andre who was in a band, and I'm wondering if I was like a backup singer and I don't remember or something.
Okay.
I literally don't remember,
Wow, the
but
years of abusing your liver,
holy
like while you were touring with
completely.
Andre the Giants, you've done brain damage from all the drugs.
I think that this was my I think that my friend this was my friend's band,
Okay,
and that I think that I was also at air guitar when that happened, or maybe it was like I think I like co-MC'd or I had like a larger role in this at
sure,
some point that I
yeah,
just like is blocked from my
cause you
memory and
cause you
literally
get
don't remember.
quoted.
I get quoted. Yeah, so I probably talked about the air guitar though. Was I talking about my participation in the band?
It
Don't
was
remember this.
no, you weren't. That's how you were credited.
Oh, that's funny. Okay,
Yeah,
well, I think that they incorrectly
of
credited me, but
Andre and the Giants.
I did attend this I did attend air guitar and performed at air guitar, and it was super fun. And Andre and the Giants. So I think that I know who this is. My friend Andre is actually a musician now today,
Oh
which is really
wow,
funny.
he's doing so
So
well for
like it's
himself.
yeah, it's funny that I think the cool part is that Andre is actually now a musician that I know
That's
and is
awesome.
cool. And so I think I maybe was like a backup singer for like an event we did or something, but I wasn't like routinely in the band, I don't think.
Okay,
That's cool though.
can I
I
ask
did
the
sing
last
on stage publicly.
Can I ask the last two questions if you answer them quickly while I get the game set up?
Yes.
All right,
Yeah, I
number
do sing
one,
well.
how much kombucha do you make like in a week?
Fuck. Not a lot lately, but like a lot. Like last summer, I think I made, I don't know, like a gallon a week,
Uh-huh.
which is
Wow.
kind of a lot
That
of
is a
kombucha
lot.
when you think about how much you have to consume
A ton of the booch.
to make it necessary every week. But yeah, either every week or every 2 weeks. We've actually my partner made some like maybe a week or two ago, and that was
Nice.
cool. But I haven't made it in a little bit, but when it's the colder months, it's like I don't really want to drink kombucha as much, but it's
Sure.
super fun. I fermented. I have so many scobies.
Do
Just
you
I had
double
to
ferment
throw
with fruit? Chad is asking.
Yes, I do. I
Awesome.
do. And I've done my favorite combos are like apple and ginger, which is like pretty accessible to make
Yeah.
because you just like freeze apples and stuff. And then I also have had success with like blueberry pineapple is like a fancy one that I've made. So fun. And I had so many scobies, I had to throw half of them in the garbage because I know
No.
well, it was too many. Well,
That's
in the
true.
compost, but,
Oh,
it
good.
was too there were too many, and I tried to give them to people, and nobody wanted them. And then the pandemic happened, and then they
Yeah.
just because they make a new one every single time you make kombucha,
Yeah.
so I had, like, a gallon jug filled to the brim with them to the point where it, like, really couldn't hold any more liquid, so
Wow.
I had to reduce the amount. It was too much. It's too
And
much.
number two, last question. What's been the most unique Minecraft server you've played on?
Oh my god. There are so many cool ones. I haven't played on this server, but there's an anarchy server that exists. It's like the longest running anarchy server where people just like grift each other constantly.
Oh
And
my
like I
god,
watched oh my
it's
I watched this
incredible.
amazing like mini documentary about it kind of where this person just like got on and just like walked as far as they could. They walked like I think it was 10,000 blocks. They tried to reach the end of the road. And there's
Hmm.
places where, like, the road goes away because you can walk very clearly, like, in a particular
Yeah.
direction, and like, there was north, south, east, west, and so this person walked west, like, as far as they could go on the server. It took them, like, days to do it,
Wow.
and they were just, like, documenting all of the stuff that was happening, like, as they kept going on the road, and there's grifting that happens, for, like,
Wow.
the first, like, 5,000 blocks, everything is just, like, destroyed or rebuilt and then destroyed, and clearly everybody's just stealing stuff from each other. Um, the person didn't even go underground, which would have been probably a whole other
Yeah.
interesting thing. But yeah, just kept going. It was very weird and kind of
This
surreal, and
is
you could talk.
yeah. This
You could,
sounds like an what's his name?
oh,
Italo. What's that author? It
I'm not sure.
I'm up like 0 for 6 on my pop culture references tonight. Is that
It's okay. It's one of those days.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Um, there's also
Italo
a
Calvino. Italo Calvino. This sounds like an Italo Calvino book about a man who walks to the edge of the earth just to like see all of the grifting happening.
oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly like that. It was so interesting. Um, And then one of my favorite ones, totally different direction that I have been on but not built on because you can't,
Daisy, can
is
I?
Westeros
Oh, Westeros
Westeros
Craft.
Craft.
Yeah, Daisy,
Yeah.
can I switch to Domcam to make sure you can see the tier list and can you talk about
Yeah.
Westeros Craft while we're doing? Okay, talk
Yeah,
about
no
Westeros
worries.
Craft.
Westeros Craft is super cool. Basically, this is not unique to the Minecraft world where there's collectives of individuals who want to create something from their fandom universe or something together, like whether it's architecture. They try to replicate stuff in Minecraft, like
Mm-hmm.
architecture and life in Minecraft, which is so cool.
Yeah.
And Westeros Craft is creating a I don't remember what the proportions are. I think it's like there is some kind of specific proportion that they are using to create the continent of Westeros.
Yeah. Every castle,
And
every
yeah,
street. Yeah. Every
every
hill.
every natural marker, and you can download the server and go to it as a
Is it one to
visitor
one?
and
Is it
walk
one to
through.
one?
It might be.
Wow,
I don't know. It's one to one. Yeah, maybe it is one to one.
that's incredible.
It's so cool. It's so cool. But you can actually go and walk in and around the entire continent of Westeros. And
That's so
there's parts of
awesome.
it that aren't yeah, there's parts of it that aren't finished yet because they're so
Like
detailed.
Flint's Finger. Oh no, like King's Landing isn't
Yeah.
finished. Okay.
Yeah, yeah. And there's all of these they have customized texture packs which basically just make the Minecraft blocks look different. And they have these texture packs to make it look more realistic and more like Westeros. So they have
Cool.
things like chains and
Yeah.
stuff. Um and it's so cool. Like visiting the wall is awesome in Westeros Craft.
Are there the secret passages in the Red Keep? Chat is asking. Are there the tunnels out of the black
I
cells and
I'm
everything?
actually I'm pretty sure, yeah.
Wow,
They have it goes deep. Yeah, I'm
that's
pretty
so
sure that I
cool.
don't know if they have all of the secret stuff, but it is incredibly
Props to
accurate.
George, man.
Yeah. It
Creating
is
that
it is
world for people who play in.
yeah, it
Literally.
is so cool. Yeah, and I love it. I'm sure that there's an Essos craft somewhere too, which is the other continent that people know a lot about.
Hmm. Wow,
But
that'll be a
they're still
thing. Yeah.
yeah, they're still working on Westeros craft though, so I can't imagine that it's gonna be done anytime soon. Yeah, King's Landing's done. Sunspear and the capital of the
High
Reach.
Garden. Yeah.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah, High Garden.
All right, Daisy, you ever made a tier list before?
We've made tier lists together on this show.
Awesome. Tier lists are
Yeah.
come from fighting games used to rank character choice, but mainly
Oh my
recently they've been used to rank all sorts of
this is
mundane
so
things.
funny.
Anyone who knows Daisy knows
Oh.
that you love changing up your hair. You change up your
I
hair
do.
all of the time.
Oh, all the time. This is
So
so funny.
today we
I
have
love
the
it.
Daisy's hair tier list. All
Oh,
right,
that's okay.
we have the interview sleuths have scoured the internet for pictures of various hairstyles Daisy has
Oh my
rocked,
god.
and I need you to rate your hair from S is masterclass, D is the bottom. I can add F if
This
you
is
think any of these were a real failure. You want to start? I think I tried to do these chronologically from left to right. You want to start?
I think they are.
Okay,
I'm looking at them. This
I
is
really tried. I really tried.
or not quite, but
Okay.
almost. This is hysterical.
This sort of
Oh my
heavy
god.
side part with the waves. Where when is this
Oh
your senior
man.
photo?
That is in fact my senior
Where
photo.
does this
That's
go?
so funny. I'm gonna give that a it looked really I'm gonna give that a B.
A B.
We're giving that a B because I liked it. If you I don't know if you can tell in this picture exactly, but the side of my head is actually shaved
Yes, I can
in
see
the
that from other
corner.
pictures. Yeah.
Yeah. That I don't know. My hair was curly. It was working that day. I don't know. I didn't hate having long hair per se. I just it's just a lot to deal with. So, I don't know. I
I
thought
know
it
what you
looked good.
mean.
It was cool.
What about this, but highlights?
Technically, I think that I don't remember what it's the same era, but I don't remember if that was before or after my senior photo. I loved that. You know what I did to achieve that? And
What?
maybe put that A because I
A.
feel like
Nice.
that was a good hair day for that. I slept in curlers,
Oh,
foam
nice.
rollers, and that's why it's that curly because I slept in foam curlers. I don't remember. I think I got a perm like 2 or 3 months before that, and this was kind of like leftover perm hair that also contributed to the curliness. I don't remember, but that was a good time.
What about this sort of grown out and reddish?
Grown out reddish brown that I had.
Yeah.
Don't love it. I'm gonna give that one a C because it's just really boring for me.
Okay. Yeah.
I
There's a lot
I
going
def
on. There's a lot going
there's a
on.
li- that was my I think that was my freshman year of undergrad.
Sure. Uh,
Um,
jet black
that's
updo.
That's also a freshman year of undergrad, and I liked that hairstyle a lot. Maybe that'll also be a B.
Over senior photo or under?
Uh, over senior photo because it's edgier.
Hey, let's
But I will
go.
say, the reason I dyed my hair black, I had never dyed my hair black before. And that was only because I knew it was harder to get out of my hair if I wanted to change it back to something else. But I had a
Sure.
friend I said, I'll dye my hair black if you dye your hair pink, and they did. They dyed their hair pink, and so I dyed my hair black, and it
Nice.
was cool. That was like a team one. That was like a team effort on that hairstyle.
Uh, Daisy, what's this one? This is something you brought up, actually.
Yeah, this is me cosplaying Osha the Wildling, and wow, that hair has got to be the D list because if any of these are like tried and true D list, it's probably that one because it was I hadn't gotten a haircut in 3 months post backpacking in South America, and I just like showed up and was like, my hair's long enough kind of to be Osha. This is fine, and so it was like really shaggy and weird.
Yeah,
So it did not.
you live in the
It was like
woods.
yeah, it was the awkward middle stage hair. I think it was fine for the cosplay, I think, but yeah, it was awkward middle stage.
What?
Dang.
Okay, you had a mohawk.
Oh my god, my full complete mohawk. Oh, this was a contentious look. I got some shit on Facebook about actually.
This was a
Yeah.
contentious look.
This is a contentious look. Okay, I thought it looked really cool. I think this was like my sophomore year of undergrad
Okay.
or maybe my junior year. I only did undergrad in 3 years, so it was either the second or the third year. I don't remember. But
Oh, okay.
I did a mohawk, and I thought it was cool. I was like, "I'm shaving my head, I might as well do it once in my life." So I had this for a couple days, and I think I made a post about it on Facebook, and I was like, "This looks sick." And then the next I was thinking about it, and I was like, "I don't know if I'm culturally appropriating by having a mohawk or not." And I made, like, a post. I have a lot of feelings about that now that are very different from what I did at the time, but I posted on Facebook and was like, I think I'm maybe doing a appropriation, and I didn't mean to. And somebody, like, in my comment section was like, "Mohawks could never be cultural appropriation, it's punk rock." And I was like, "Well, I don't know, like, maybe we could talk about this." So, then I think I just,
Yeah,
like,
they
deleted.
had to have been named after something.
Yeah, and I was like, "Oh god, this is too much drama." So then I just so I shaved my head. I was like, and I think I deleted that post because I was like, "Who is saying this? Like, who are you to defend my questioning of this?" And yeah, I maybe was also wrong too, or I don't know. We can talk about it, but that was the most contentious hairstyle I had.
So where's it go?
I don't know. I think it looked kind of cool. Maybe the C
C for
because it
contentious?
was C for contentious slash memorable experience.
Top or bottom of C?
I think it's better than my. At least it was edgy, so let's put it
Okay.
above. Yeah, top C.
What about
And
you talked about
yeah.
shaving your what about shaved head?
Shaved head, again, liberating, cool, fun. I have an egg head like most people do. They shave their head. So, not my fave, but maybe we'll go with a B
And where's it
because
go in B?
ah, at the end there.
At the
Yeah,
end
keep
there.
it at the end.
Got
Keep
it.
it at the end. Cuz like it was like cool to experience, but like no hair is it's not quite for me. I need a little bit of hair, I feel like.
What about
Um
this bright pink?
Oh, you know where that picture is from? I think I'm at the Library of Congress.
Oh, cool.
I think that's during my internship at the Library of
Internship, yeah.
Congress. That's a good one. That's like maybe an A or an S tier.
You got to tell me.
Let's do top of A.
Top of A.
I love when my hair is pink. It's so fun. That's my 2 cents on that. It
M-
is just fun.
Moving from pink, the Aquaberry Blast.
Aquaberry Blast is like a faded from what was like a Blueberry Blast, and
Okay.
Blueberry Blast was S tier for me. I felt like I was an ice superhero, so cool. I was like projecting water from my hands, and I love the blue hair was fun. Um,
Here's your Jon Snow wig.
oh my god, I love that that's in there. Dang, Jon Snow the Pretty Crow. Wow, that wig I think looks so strange on me, but it's a really good wig. So, I think I'm gonna go top of C
Top of C. Got
because
it.
I think it looks weird on me, but the wig on its own I think is a good look.
How about the Joffrey
Aw,
blonde?
Joffrey blonde, that's gotta be S tier.
S
I'm
tier
just really I'm
behind Aquaberry Blast?
in front of
In
Aquaberry
front of
Blast.
Aqua. Okay, S tier is
I
the Joffrey. S tier is the
I
Joffrey.
I like bleaching my hair. It's so easy to go back to. My hair's short now. It's
Yeah.
fun. People know me for the Joff look. I can also I just like it. It's good energy. When it fades out, it looks like garbage blonde grunge. I love it.
And speaking of faded, the kind of very dark black, the kind of fades
Yeah.
bluish purple that you have right
Um
now.
yeah, when it's faded, that is probably absolute S tier. But in the dark state that it is in that picture,
And kind of where
I
you
think
are right
that's
now. I'm trying to do where you are right
yeah,
now.
yeah, kind of where I am right now. I think that's comes right after Joffrey.
All right,
Because that's also
so
fun.
between Joffrey and
Yeah, and
Aquaberry.
yeah, I think that that's my tier list.
All right, everyone,
I think that's it.
we have the Daisy hair tier list, and I like how it goes from Joffrey to
Oh my gosh,
OSHA. Where does your haircut
that's so
stack
funny.
up?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Um, I love it. I think my hair right now is you can't see it in this lighting, but I didn't do a very good job dyeing it black, so underneath I have way more fade than I want to. So I
Hmm.
think I'm probably at like an A version. I like the dark hair, but I know it could be improved. So
Okay.
I like it, but
All right.
I was thinking about dyeing it the same color as my ears.
That would be amazing.
That
That
would be
would be
pretty amazing.
absolutely incredible.
Someday we'll do that.
I also just love this face of like your three cosplays that are on here. You got
Oh
Osha. I
my
believe
god.
you just tooted your horn and everyone applauded.
Oh.
You've got
Aw.
talking to Pip and Gren around the fire, and you look like
Oh,
I'm the hottest member of the Night's
yeah.
Watch. And then you've just got
Yes.
this I feel like I know what line you're saying there. It's like well, no, it's just a quarrel. Yeah.
Yeah, or something like
Meh. You
I
might
like
be doing the meh.
okay, I like having cosplayed Joffrey, it's so funny, like, people I think people forget that he, like, does not know what he's doing. Like, I feel like people think that there's a lot of very, like, malicious intent, and I think that that's true, like, later on, and I'm not trying to excuse his behavior or anything like that, but, like, he does not understand social cues in almost any capacity. So,
Sure.
he's
No,
at
I
the
know what
same
you mean.
time he has, like, very direct intentions, but I think that he's utterly confused by what he's supposed to do and is bewildered in most situations and, like, doesn't know what's happening, and I think that we got a chance to play that up in the musical because he's, like, doesn't know what he's doing, but everybody has to take him seriously, where in the musical, nobody took him seriously
Yeah.
because that's
Yeah.
what he deserves.
Because it's
So
kind of through either Tyrion or Stannis' perspective at any given moment,
yeah,
so neither of them are going to
and
take him
yeah,
seriously.
yeah, and it's just very funny, like, his just, like, utter lack of having no idea what's going on, and so his horrible impulse is to be a bad person, unfortunately. But I still think that's funny that in the background he's like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do. I guess we should just stab, get rid of it. I don't know, kill it. It's like very chaotic.
I hope everyone enjoyed the Daisy's hair tier list. I hope you enjoyed.
Oh my
Are
god,
there any
that's
ones you
so
think we
fun.
miss? Is there anything we
That's
cuz
so
this
fun.
is a debate we are having. Is there anything any big ones
Um,
that we overlooked?
there are first off, no, I think that this is most of it. Oh, well, okay. No, in high school I had some bad ones that I hope that nobody ever finds
I
ever
I
again.
don't
Like
think I
I did
think
like
this is the earliest we could find.
oh, thank God.
This up were the earliest we could find.
Thank God, because there were some bad ones. I well, so one thing is on my B, my like top of B
Mhm.
list, the black hair there underneath. You can't tell because it's not the back of my head, but the back of my head is completely shaved underneath like a triangle,
Oh, yeah, I
which is
remember
kind of
that. I
cool.
remember that haircut when people were getting that all the time, yeah.
Yeah, so I did that, and then in high school I had like this is like so embarrassing. I did like a full head of braids like long braids with extensions, and then I had a time shortly after that where I undid the braids and just rocked the, like, super kinky hair that was, not fashionable. I don't know what I was thinking that I did. It really wasn't a good look, it was just strange, so I'm glad you didn't find those because those would have been, like, F tier.
Damn.
If you, you can try to find them if you want, but I do not recommend.
Uh,
Yeah, I think
this
those are all
is
my hair secrets.
this has been hysterical. I can't wait for
This is so funny.
Folkwise to share that and just roast. This is me roasting myself.
Yeah, it's so good.